on September 14th, 2023 at 9:40 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Calculate that for your own time zone. We've got a really creative and quite complex new moon in Virgo. We're going to get into some of that complexity in just a bit. I want to give some of the basics first. So the Virgo-Pisces axis is an axis of service. With Pisces, we think kind of like that unconditional compassion. With Virgo, it's more work hard, work really, really hard, sometimes to the point of burnout. There can be a sense of perfectionism, but it's also a sign of discernment. It's about being able to assess situations. So Virgos also make good healers. They tend to be very good musicians. They tend to be very good communicators, good writers. All of these things come from an ability to kind of look at a bigger picture, break that down, analyze the details, and bring something to the fore so that we have more understanding. So the ruler of this new moon in Virgo, Mercury, has been retrograde also in Virgo for the past few weeks. And it's been extra wonky because unlike Gemini, the other sign that Mercury rules, when Mercury's in Virgo, it's all about organization. It's about, what's the next step? What are the plans? And during Mercury retrograde, those plans can get a little mixed up. And in Gemini, sometimes, it gets extra crazy when Mercury's retrograde in Gemini, but people tend to kind of let that roll off their back a little more. When Mercury's in Virgo and retrograde, they're like the plans are toppled over. People are a little more on edge because that perfect order is obviously not taking place. All of that is going to really begin to shift right after this new moon because Mercury, the new moon's ruler, stations direct in Virgo the very next day. So some relief on the horizon. The other thing to know is that Uranus in Taurus, another earth sign, is almost, not quite, but almost exactly trine this new moon in Virgo. So both earth signs, that indicates some tangible, earthy, pragmatic action, but with Uranus there, it could be surprising breakthroughs. It could be some kind of energy, some kind of insight that comes in at the end of all this analysis that's been going on during Mercury retrograde, where we have kind of an aha moment that really changes how we look at the overall picture. So that's kind of the more general energy of this new moon in Virgo. I want to get into some of the specifics here because they're kind of cool. I mentioned the service aspect of that Virgo-Pisces axis, right? So Pisces, we think of unconditional compassion. With Virgo, it's more work very hard, be very loyal. Sometimes perfectionism can even move that a little too far, but you can count on the Virgo to get things done. But what's also kind of curious is we've got two conjunctions with the new moon. One is Thereus, and Thereus has shown up in a number of past new moons and full moons as kind of this like lurker behind the scenes. And astrologically, that's actually what Thereus represents. It's kind of this energy like when Lenin died, Stalin was right there to take power. It's this kind of lurking kind of energy, this sense of like watching and waiting for the right moment to make your move. So we've been seeing kind of these things happening around the world, a lot of these resignations of elected officials, and then somebody gets appointed. So they're not elected, but they're appointed. That's kind of a Thereus type energy. But in our personal lives, it could be that something is falling away, say that karmic impact of the Pisces blue moon. It reshuffled the deck. Like a lot of things are very different. And with that Thereus energy at the time of this new moon, there's a sense of something taking the place. So it's like, if not this, then something better, kind of the potential to upgrade from whatever got released at the time of that blue moon, which I know was very intense, especially for me. It conjuncted my small thing, big effect centaur, but I know for lots and lots of people, it was like, whoa, popcorn of all the things that were starting to shift. So the other conjunction at this new moon in Virgo is asteroid Hebe. That's Hebe. And in Greek mythology, she was the young person who bore the ambrosia cup to the gods. So she carried the cup with the nectar of eternal life that she served the gods. If we were talking about Hebe as a tarot card, she would be the Page of Cups. This is from the Robin Wood deck. You can see she's an artist. And that brings up some of this other Virgo energy, because in addition to being a service-oriented axis, this mutable axis of Pisces Virgo is also a highly creative axis. And so there is this energy of the servant, of someone who brings something to the higher ups. It could be connected with actual servants like chefs or drivers or chambermaids, any of those kinds of energies. In fact, that tracks with the Sabian symbol of this new moon, which is a royal coat of arms enriched with precious stones. And Dane Rudyard's keynote is the certification of aristocratic status at whatever level nobility expresses itself in cultural eminence. So that's kind of a complex symbol, but breaking it down, we have that kind of service energy there. There's like the aristocratic level, the royal coat of arms, but then who's serving those people? So watch for some news about servant class people, especially if they're serving the higher ups. But then also on the personal note, keep in mind that energy of Hebe, it's not just about any old servant, right? She's serving ambrosia, the nectar to the gods, right? So it's like a magical potential for service. And one of the other things to keep in mind with Virgo is it is a sign of discernment. It's like Pisces doesn't have the boundaries, right? Pisces is just boundless, ruled by Neptune. But with Mercury ruling Virgo, there's more discernment. There's more of a mental calculation. There's a lot of accountants who have strong Virgo placements. And so we're asked at the time of this new moon to really look at what's our inner accountant saying to us. When we look at our service to the world, whether that's through music, whether that's through the arts, whether that's through healing work, all of these are very Virgo type things. It could be through writing, it could be through communication, it could be through analysis, all of these very Virgo things. But we're being asked at the time of the new moon, how could we shift that investment of our time, of our mental, spiritual, physical, emotional energy? What would happen if we made some adjustments? Virgo's good at kind of going, the scales it's not quite balanced. Libra's really associated with, balancing those scales of justice. But before Libra comes along next month, we've got Virgo, which is deep in the analysis. And with, again, that Mercury retrograde, we've been deep in the analysis all this time. We also had the Venus retrograde, which just stationed direct on September 3rd, so not too far back. And that was also a deep analysis of what do we need in relationships. So a lot of these energies have been building. The analysis has been occurring. That blue moon kind of exploded a lot for a lot of people. And at the time of the new moon, we're really looking at our opportunities to shift how we serve the world. So on the higher level, who are we and what do we have to bring forth into the world, and how might we tweak that so that we're more efficient and so that we're better able to express ourselves? That's an expression of Mercury, but express ourselves in more of a thorough, comprehensive way, as opposed to kind of the back and forth, make a deal, change your mind energy of Mercury and Gemini. With that Mercury and Virgo, we're really trying to get a handle on what's really going on here and how do we put all the pieces together to make sense of our world. Virgo being an earth sign, even though it's ruled by Mercury, so there's the mental component, but also earth. It's really good energy for working with crystals, especially like any kind of record keeper. So this is a Lemurian seed crystal, but it's got the little record keeper lines in it. Crystals hold energy. They can hold thoughts. They can be programmed to hold thoughts. They're in computers. They're in watches. There's a reason for that. So this new moon is going to be great, especially for working with things like carnelian, which is a stone of dignity. Virgo really likes that. Kyanite, connecting the mental realm, really good if you do anything like channeling or even just trying to be inspired more with your writing or your journaling or writing poetry or song. Kyanite is a good crystal for that. If you're lucky enough to have something like a garden quartz, those are just like really very cool energies for bringing some of this Virgo flavor out, but with a little more of that Page of Cups kind of magical, intuitive, creative realm. So lots of potential with this one. And I wish you all the best. I know it's crazy intense right now. I heard from so many people after the blue moon. This feels a little bit of like the cleanup of some of the explosions that happened for people a couple weeks ago. We're in the thick of it, but use this time to try to get a handle on where are you now? Where's your life going? Where would you like it to go? And now that we've reevaluated things based on new information and based on kind of things settling out from the last few full and new moons, what's your new plan? What's your new direction? And what are the tangible steps that you can take in order to bring your best self out into the world? All right, until next time, take care.